Welcome to 5 Good Minutes. You're listening to today's inspirational message on the book of Mark with Russ Brasher.
Yesterday we looked at the first half of the first story we find in the Gospel of Mark, chapter 5, about encounters with Jesus. Yesterday we learned that God is powerful, and we saw this truth come to life as Jesus encountered a legion of demons. Now our attention will shift in the same story, but we'll actually look at a different encounter. This encounter is not with the demons who possessed the man. This encounter that we see with Jesus is about Jesus and how he encounters the man who was possessed by demons, who no longer is. And this part of the story is found in the Gospel of Mark, chapter 5, verses 14 through 20. Let's read those verses now. Those tending the pigs ran off and reported this in the town and countryside, and the people went out to see what had happened. When they came to Jesus, they saw the man who had been possessed by the legion of demons, sitting there, dressed and in his right mind, and they were afraid. Those who had seen it told the people what had happened to the demon-possessed man, and told about the pigs as well. Then the people began to plead with Jesus to leave their region. As Jesus was getting into the boat, the man who had been demon-possessed begged to go with him. Jesus did not let him, but said, "Go home to your own people, and tell how much the Lord has done for you, and how he has had mercy on you." So the man went away and began to tell in the Decapolis how much Jesus had done for him, and all the people were amazed. There is so much in the second half of the story that we could take time to focus on, but if I had to just point out one truth about God that we see in this story, made obvious by the life of Jesus, it is that God has the power to restore. And even though this story starts off as what might seem like a scary movie, its ending is so miraculous and gospel-centered. Verse 15 tells us that after all the dust settled and it got quiet, the crowd that showed up looked and they found Jesus, and sitting next to him was the man who had been demon-possessed. And this man was now sitting next to Jesus at his feet. And the scripture tells us that he was fully dressed and in his right mind. This same man who other texts, other gospels, this story is also found in the Gospel of Matthew and in the Gospel of Luke, tells us that this man was naked, that this man was angry, he was violent, he was cut up, he was uncontrollable. Not only that, we also know that this man had been possessed by possibly 6,000 demons. But yet now we see, because not anything that this man had done, but because Jesus himself, the Son of God, took the time to seek out intentionally this guy, to cast the demons out, to speak truth into him, and to restore this man. And if you read this story in the ESV translation, a study Bible from the ESV, in the study notes, it actually tells us that the phrase right mind implies that this man was not only fully functioning and properly functioning, but he was restored to an image bearer of God and a follower of Jesus. We also see evidence of this later in verses 18 through 20, where this man begs for Jesus to allow him to go with him so he can continue to follow him, because he is so grateful and just can't believe how much Jesus has done for him to restore him the way that he has. And Jesus says, "No, don't come with me. Instead, I want you to go tell everyone that you know, your family, your town, your neighbors, what I've done for you, the mercy that you've experienced through me because of who God is." And the man agrees, and we learn that he goes to share the gospel, share the good news, the mercy that he's experienced. And I just hope and pray that as you come to read through the Gospels, as you look here at this chapter of Mark's Gospel, chapter 5, that you see that God has the power to restore, and he is in the business of restoring. that there is nothing in our life that is too big for him, that he desires for us to know him, that he is in the business of restoring, that we don't have to worry about anything that we have to do or will do to earn God's favor, that because of who Jesus is, we can have faith and be restored to right mind and thinking about life and in relationship with God.
Thanks for joining us here today. There's a lot of great content to explore on Orchard Hill Plus and on the Orchard Hill main feed from the weekend. Have a great day.